In this video, we'll look at the best-selling Grammy Album of the Year winners of all time. Graceland by Paul Simon. It won Album of the Year at the 1987 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Control by Janet Jackson, which has sold over 14 million records. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill. It won the Album of the Year at the 1999 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Ray of Light by Madonna, which has sold over 14 million records. Can't Slow Down by Lionel Richie. It won Album of the Year at the 1985 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen, which has sold over 30 million records worldwide. 25 by Adele. It won Album of the Year at the 2017 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Lemonade by Beyonce, which has sold over 3.6 million records worldwide.
My artist of my life is Beyonce, and this album for me, the Lemonade album, was just so monumental. Beyonce, it was...
Supernatural by Santana. It won Album of the Year at the 2000 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Millennium by Backstreet Boys, which has sold over 40 million records worldwide. The Joshua Tree by U2. It won Album of the Year at the 1988 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Bad by Michael Jackson, which has sold over 45 million records worldwide. No Jacket Required by Phil Collins. It won Album of the Year at the 1986 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Whitney Houston's self-titled album, which has sold over 23 million records worldwide. Tapestry by Carole King. It won Album of the Year at the 1972 Grammys, going against iconic albums like The Carpenters' self-titled album, which has sold over 4 million records worldwide. Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon & Garfunkel. It won Album of the Year at the 1971 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Chicago's self-titled album, which has sold over 1 million records worldwide. Unplugged by Eric Clapton. It won Album of the Year at the 1993 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Action Baby by U2, which has sold over 18 million records worldwide. Faith by George Michael. It won Album of the Year at the 1989 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Tracy Chapman's self-titled album, which has sold over 20 million records worldwide. Come Away With Me by Norah Jones. It won Album of the Year at the 2003 Grammys, going against iconic albums like The Eminem Show by Eminem, which has sold over 20 million records worldwide. 21 by Adele. It won Album of the Year at the 2012 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Born This Way by Lady Gaga, which has sold over 7 million records worldwide. Falling Into You by Celine Dion. It won Album of the Year at the 1997 Grammys, going against iconic albums like The Score by the Fugees, which has sold over 13 million records worldwide. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club by the Beatles. It won Album of the Year at the 1968 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Ode to Billy Joel by Bobby Gentry, which has sold over 500,000 records. Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. It won Album of the Year at the 1996 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Daydream by Mariah Carey, which has sold over 25 million records worldwide. The Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. It won Album of the Year at the 1979 Grammys, going against iconic albums like the Grease soundtrack, which has sold over 25 million records worldwide. Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. It won Album of the Year at the 1978 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Hotel California by the Eagles, which has sold over 42 million records worldwide. The Bodyguard soundtrack. It won Album of the Year at the 1994 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Automatic for People by REM, which has sold over 18 million records worldwide. Thriller by Michael Jackson. It won Album of the Year at the 1984 Grammys, going against iconic albums like Synchronicity by The Police, which has sold over 20 million records worldwide.